Have you ever wondered how big Chum Chompkins really is on the inside? Seriously, there's a moment in chapter 5 that at first looks like a simple rescue scene. Chum literally pushes a full-grown person inside his own body to hide them from danger. But the longer I replayed that scene and compared the proportions of the models, the more I realized something deeply disturbing. This should not be physically possible, because externally, Chum Chompkins is only slightly larger than an adult human. Based on the in-game models and comparisons with Playtime Co frames, his height is roughly 2 to 2.2 meters, while his torso width is around 1 meter. Even if you imagine his body having almost no organs, bones, or internal structures, there still wouldn't be enough free space to safely fit a grown adult inside without massively deforming his body shape. But that never happens in the game. His outer body barely changes at all, and that's where things start becoming really strange. According to the official chapter 5 descriptions, Chum Chompkins is a Playtime Company experiment with a mouth located directly in the stomach area. But if you look carefully at his anatomy, it becomes obvious that this is not a normal mouth. It sits far too low compared to where a digestive tract should realistically connect, and it opens much wider than standard biological mechanics would ever allow. It doesn't look like a stomach, it looks like an entrance, and this is where real biology becomes important. Nature already contains animals capable of temporarily expanding their internal body volume to extreme sizes. Pelicans use expandable throat pouches to store fish and water. Deep-sea gulper eels can stretch their jaws and stomachs to nearly the size of their entire bodies. Sperm whales and several large marine mammals possess multi-layer collagen tissue structures capable of surviving enormous internal pressure. But all of those organisms share one thing in common: their bodies visibly deform during expansion. Chum does the exact opposite. When a human is inside him, his outer volume barely changes at all, which means the space inside his body is functioning under a completely different spatial principle. And then there's another detail from the chapter 5 files that becomes extremely important. In the field test Chum Chompkins documents, the experiment is associated with solving noise issues, problems involving sound and stress reduction. At first that sounds harmless, but the more you think about it, the more disturbing the implication becomes. Playtime Company may have been testing Chum as a living isolation chamber, a biological organism capable of absorbing sound, vibrations, and even concealing the physical presence of a person inside its body. Essentially, a living shelter. And the more you examine Chum's fur, the stranger everything becomes. His thick red fur strongly resembles the structure of real acoustic absorption materials. In engineering, chaotic layered fibers are commonly used to suppress sound waves because they scatter and dissipate vibration energy throughout the material itself. That could explain why the player barely hears the outside world while inside Chum. Not because they are inside a stomach, but because the tissues themselves are actively absorbing sound. Yet the biggest question still remains: how does a human actually fit inside him? I tried roughly calculating the internal volume of Chum's body using the in-game proportions. Even under extremely generous assumptions, the usable internal space is still far too small to comfortably contain an adult human body. There wouldn't be enough room for breathing, movement, or maintaining structural body integrity. The numbers simply do not work, and this is the point where the living container idea stops sounding like a simple fan theory, because maybe Chum was never designed as a toy at all. Maybe he was designed as a mobile biological storage system, an organism whose internal space was artificially expanded through experimental bigger bodies, initiative tissues, and anomalous spatial engineering. And strangely enough, modern physics already contains concepts that resemble this idea. Non-Euclidean space describes structures where internal dimensions do not correctly correspond to external geometry. In simple terms, something can be much larger on the inside than it appears from the outside. And the scariest part is that Playtime Company has already demonstrated technologies that violate normal biology. Just look at Lily Lovebraids, whose hair can stretch across enormous distances without losing visible mass. Or experiment 1006, whose body constantly reconstructs itself using mechanical components. Compared to those experiments, the idea of a creature with impossible internal space suddenly doesn't sound impossible anymore. And the deeper you analyze Chum Chompkins, the stronger the feeling becomes that we are not looking at a cute furry monster, but one of the strangest and potentially most dangerous experiments in the entire factory.